Hejsan Peter, är du där?
Hejsan, jag är här. Hur är läget?
Hur är läget? Läget är bra här på byrå i Palloliitto, Urheilukatu 5, du vet det adressen. Hej, Peter, really nice that you took time also for that one. I know that you don't have possibility to be over here at the office, but thank you so much. Peter has, you started, was it in January 2020?
Yes, correct.
Excellent. So almost 2 years, only basically COVID time, but luckily you got some games this autumn. So you're gonna tell us something about the process, really short one, about the tournament also. You had a qualification this autumn and a couple of highlights over there. And maybe Peter, we can start like that you have beautiful slide about yourself. So maybe you can introduce yourself and say a couple of words about your background, and also then you can go to your presentation. You're welcome.
Right. Thank you, Hannu. Yeah, so the presentation will be about our U19 Euro qualifiers in Poland, so players born 2003, and we were faced against Poland, Ukraine, and Malta in the main round of the Euro qualifications. And like Hannu said, I'm Peter Lundberg. I'm 40 years old. I worked for Palloliitto as head coach for Finland under 18 and 19 now for 2 years, mostly COVID times, like Hannu said. But finally we could play some games now in the autumn here, so that was nice. So my background is that I've been assistant coach and head coach in IFK Mariehamn for 8 years previously to this, and my background is also that I'm a teacher and former player. My email is here also. If you have questions also, please, you can send also to my email, and I can answer in my Palloliitto email. So the content of this presentation, I will start talking a little bit about the preparations, how we prepared for the elite round under difficult circumstances. Then I will go in more detailed, like tactical game plans and what was the outcome in the matches against Poland, especially since I think we have the best video material from the Poland matches, but also Ukraine and Malta. And it was quite unexpected challenges popping up during the qualifications, and I will talk a little bit about that also, how to manage difficult situation as a coach or a leader or a coaching staff when things are happening that you don't expect and it's difficult to prepare for. And also, let's see if there is some time for questions in the end. But preparations. So I started this project with 2003 born players when they were under U18, and we started October 2020. It was COVID times, but we could have a 3 days home camp after a quite long break from meeting them with the national teams. The draw was made in December 2020, where we were drawn Ukraine, Poland, and Malta, and the tournament was going to be played in Poland. February 2021, we could have a 3 days home camp, but that was a bit special also because there was many players in quarantine and we couldn't get the players abroad, etc. So we had many national team debutants there that was playing internal game for the first time ever. So we got the chance there to maybe not see so many of those potential players that was going to play the competitive games for us, but we could see those other players and get a good scouting search for a broader search for the players in this age group. Then in June we could have a 3 days home camp. We could play 1 year younger 2004 national team, but at least now we had most of the best players of the age group there that are playing in Finland, but still not the ones from abroad. And then finally, we could get our first national team matches in the September FIFA window, a doubleheader against Sweden here in Eerikilä. And that was the first national team matches in 20 months. And I will speak a little bit about these preparations now before we go into the main focus on the Euro qualifiers. So these 2 matches, of course, super important. Our first national team matches for me with this age group, and a very valuable coaching staff group I have with me, of course, with Teemu Eskola as assistant coach, and Emil Repunen, goalkeeper coach, Tommy Helminen, video analyst, Ville Rappeli and Ville Rantaho, fitness physiotherapists, and Ville Niemele Kitman, Antti Kuhmola, doctor, and Craig Ramsey was administrator. And you will see later in the presentation also that when things are happening, it's good that there are many people with good knowledge in their specific area. So that was very useful for us with everything that happened during the tournament. And the squad for the Sweden matches there was 6 players that I never worked with before, that I worked with for the first time, mainly due to players playing abroad and difficult to travel with them in the other camps we had. So 4 of these players has played abroad, and Luka Kuitunen was first time chosen after a good season in Ikkinen, and Kasper Tero had either been in quarantine or injured or with U21 in previous camps. So 6 players for the first time, which is quite a lot when we have prepared more than a year for this. But the preparation matches against Sweden, everything worked really, really well. It was one of those camps, one of those events where everything just perfect matches our ideas and plans. The team performance was there. The individual performance was there. I think we saw the best that we've seen from most of the players so far. The game plan worked. We had the game matches under control, and we got the results as well. We won the first match with 3-0 after a very strong performance, and the second match was influenced a lot, of course, with an early red card for Sweden, but still a very focused and controlled performance for us, and we could win the second match also with 3-0. So everything quite perfect. And if we look the way we want to play, I think that everything worked out the way we want to do. So I will just show you briefly our idea in the start of the press and how we want to defend. So we have our 4-3-3 formation, where we try to split the pitch to force the opponents to play inside where we are overloaded and where we are many players, cut the fullbacks out, and then try to go aggressive in this press when the pass comes into the middle, and try to steal balls here and go forward if possible. If we cannot win the ball there, if they anyway come around us, then we try to guide them out to the sideline and try to lock them in there and close the doors here, close the door here, close the door here, close the door here, so that they cannot switch play here, and that we have to run. Also one example, the trigger, the start of the press. So we're in our formation, and when the pass is going, we anticipate that one, and we go with full speed, clear signal, maximum sprint, straight at them, cut the fullback out, force them into the middle where we are stepping against our players here, trying to win the ball. And in that moment, we have already 3 or 4 players in front of us, so we can play the ball forward. So we have good opportunities to quickly counterattack from here. And these clips illustrate, I think, that we were in quite good control of things in defending. And I'm really happy that we could see some brilliant patterns of play also in the final third, and some high individual quality actions. And I think this video illustrates some of the goals that we scored. There are some really nice combinations and penetrations in the final third, how to penetrate the last defensive line with really high individual skills at times here. So I'm really glad that we can also, against really, really strong opponents, show that in Finland we also have these players with this individual quality in the final third. Some high-class combinations there in the goals we scored against Sweden. What we're also trying to emphasize a lot is the body language. High fives, thumbs up, the team spirit that we are here and now, and being here and now on the field helps a lot with this body language, because it forces you to be here and now if someone touches you. So all these kind of winning behaviors that we call it, high fives, celebrating defensive actions, is a big part of our daily work, that we try to implement these kind of things. How we celebrate goals, for example, you see the bench here also, for example, that are supporting the players on the pitch, celebrating goals. All these kind of habits and behaviors that we call winning behaviors are super important also, and we took a big step in these matches against Sweden, I think, in the right direction, and a bit more out of our comfort zone and more eager to make that kind of atmosphere on the pitch, that it's painful to play against teams that have this kind of body language and spirit on the pitch. Now into the tournament. So a little bit overview what I will talk about here. So first day was traveling, then we had 2 days preparations with perfect pitches in nice weather at the hotel there. Then the first match was on Wednesday, so we had 2 preparations day. First match against Poland, the home country. Then I will talk about the nightmare that happened after that, with a lot of sickness and the difficult preparations we had before the second match against Ukraine. There was 2 days between the matches. And then how we try to sort of go on from there and try to win the last match against Malta. So this is an overview of how the schedule was during the tournament. So I will now focus on the preparations for the Poland match and the game plan. So basically Monday and Tuesday, a match day -2 and match day -1. So I will zoom in on the attacking game plan against Poland. So we have been scouting Poland. They were also playing in the September window. They played twice, once against Denmark and once against Norway. So we had 2 matches to scout with updated material, and we had also Juho Rantala was there scouting live, and we got the matches in video as well. And what we could see is that they played very similar way both matches, so we were quite certain that this is how they will act against us as well. So that they were playing in a 5-2-3 formation, or 3-4-3 when they're attacking. You see here Poland in red against Denmark, the matches that we were scouting. And from our attacking point of view, so these were the spaces that we were trying to reach in this match, and that we were focusing on our attacking game plan and preparations on. So the space in behind their striker and in front of their 2 holding midfielders, there's a hole there. We were trying to occupy that space and see if we could play in those spaces. We believe that we quite easily could come here, since their wingbacks were dropping into a 5 quite quickly. We thought that we could come quite easily here. But also what happens after that is that we were trying to see how can we come behind their midfield 2 or outside their midfield 2. So in the higher pockets, in pockets 10 spaces, out diagonally outside of their midfield 2. So that was the sort of idea for our build-up. And in the final third, we focused a lot on these runs in the half spaces or inner corridor between fullback and the left centre back, or the right wing back and the right centre back. So these runs here, and also if you can get some kind of counter movement here, so that because they are quite man inspired here, and the centre backs will follow him if he goes against the ball, and if someone goes in the space behind, there should be opportunities to hurt Poland's last line here in these spaces. So that was our main focus going into the game from an attacking point of view. So match day -1 was our attacking training, attacking focus. So it was like 1 hour plus set pieces training. So it was warm up and rondo 25 minutes, and then we were doing these tactical waves 11v11 with 1 attacking team, 1 defending team. So you see here the blue team defending in a 5-2-3, and our potential starting 11 attacking in our 4-3-3 formation. And we're trying to get those situations in the training that we thought would happen in the game. We finished the training with a couple of short, small-sided games as well to get a good feeling before the match, and then some set pieces. And in the training, here is one clip from that training. So you see here white team defending 5-2-3, and you see this hole opening up here. So that was what blue team, who is our team, was trying to see if we can come into these spaces here and drag their midfielders out from there, opening up that diagonal space that we talked about. So we managed to create an environment in the training where those things happened that we wanted to see. And then attack the last line. You see again here now we get that kind of run in between the wing back and the center back in that hole, exactly like we planned. And you can see also here how that spreads their back line out, and their center backs has to defend in the wide areas, which opens up the box a lot for us, which will increase our chances to reach dangerous goal scoring chances. We talked a lot about the balance also and how to control the striker in negative transition, and this is more the defending game plan that we were highlighting here for them. And the first goal that we scored is basically exactly like the clip I showed from the training. So we're reaching the area, the hole in behind their striker in front of their midfield two. And we can get right turn there, and we're asking questions to their two holding midfielders, and we can choose to play through them or diagonally outside of them. We play through them into 10 space, and then next action is the run in between wing back and center back, and we can get the perfect penetration and loistava finish. So it's not always things work out exactly like you plan, of course, but this is a good example when it does, when we're hurting Poland in exactly those spaces that we were hoping for and planning for before the match. Then what happened, I want to again mention this focus about next action and the behaviors, winning behaviors on the pitch. Focus on next action no matter what happens is something that we have focused a lot on. How can I do the next action as good as possible, or how can I help my teammate to do the next action as good as possible? So that was one thing that this coming clip now illustrates, and also how important set pieces are in this kind of knockout or mini tournament matches. And I have to give huge credit to Teemu Eskola, who's really good at this and are specialized in set pieces. So we get a penalty in the last minute of first half for 2-0, but Niklas Byhtiä misses it, and it's a corner. And instead of crying about that, losing focus, getting thoughts in his head about the penalty, he's focusing on next action, and his next action 30 seconds later is a corner, who he plays brilliantly for Luka Hirleinen, who heads the ball in the net, and we have the 2-0 lead anyway. So this is a good example, I think, of focusing on next action, whatever happens. Miss a penalty, but in the next action you play a perfect corner and we can score the goals. And really happy to see these kind of behaviors also in halftime, where players from the bench are like laughing and giving credit to Niklas for his focus on next action, and congratulating also Luka for the goal in halftime. The third thing that we were focusing on from a attacking point of view was the offensive transition phase, our counter-attacks, that could we get the diagonal pass forward in the moment when we won the ball outside of their midfield two again, that if we win the ball on left side, can we play diagonally right and counter-attack from there. And our third goal was also exactly that we win the ball centrally here and we can find the diagonal pass forward and we can attack and penetrate the last line between their wing back and center back again and score the winning goal with 5 minutes to go. So very successful first match, and really happy again to see these players' behaviors and celebrating together. An important win in the first match against Poland. So again, things were under control and things worked out the way we planned. But then unexpected challenges were arising for us. And if we look at after the Poland match here now, so already in the last minutes, someone on the bench felt stomach sick, and in the locker room afterwards it started, and during the evening it started players throwing up, and we decided there when we had 4 or 5 during the evening before we went to bed that okay, isolation next day, and it just kept coming. So I think midday Thursday there, day after the match, we had already 10 or 12 players throwing up. Everyone stayed at their room. Food was delivered to the rooms. We couldn't do anything. We had a Teams meeting in the evening to summarize the situation for the players and give them some instructions. And we have the WhatsApp group, of course, where we give constant information. We tried to have some tactical meeting there also to show some Ukraine clips and try to prepare the match, even though we were in isolation. In the Friday match day -1 before the Ukraine match, we could have a walkthrough with all the players except 2 that still had to stay at the rooms. But we had a 20 minutes walkthrough where we were going through the key points for tomorrow's match. And then we had 10 players that could fulfill like a normal match day -1 training. So half the squad was sort of still out here with only 24 hours to kick off. But at that point it still felt quite okay. But then when we had planned the starting 11 and sort of our ideas, the rest of the group that were most of them were supposed to start, now they started to throw up. So we had 2 during the night and 1 during breakfast in the morning, and then 1 during warm-up before the match, 1 in halftime. So when we have played the Ukraine match, 26 out of 29 of the total delegation list had been throwing up, so including the coaching staff, where all of us got sick as well. So really tough circumstances, of course, and there was a lot of challenges you are exposed to as a leader. Should we postpone or not? We got the chance from UEFA to postpone the game 1 day, but then it's only 1 day to the Malta game, so yeah, then we might reduce our chances against Malta, and we don't know, is our situation better or worse? So that's something that you have to make decisions of. What kind of approach will you have as a coach for this? Will you sort of give the players a chance to make excuses, or sort of do the sort of more the underdog thing, that now we have everything to win, everything is against us, it's us against the world, blah blah blah? Or do you choose the other path, that hey boys, no excuses, Ukraine has their problems as well? So there's difficult kind of approaches you can have, I think, but I think it's important as a leader that you think through how you want to deal with this kind of situation. Also, when we selected the lineup for the Ukraine game, how do you balance between quality and freshness? That if you have what you think is a key player maybe, but he was a little bit more sick than some other player, do you choose the more fresh player, or do you choose the player that you should have more quality? That's also something you need to think about. Before the Ukraine match, we also knew that losing the match with only 1 goal would mean that we have everything in our own hands against Malta in the last match. So if we win the last match, we will go through. So that's also was a question for us, that should we prepare the team for that win-draw? Of course, yes, but also losing with 1 goal is okay result for us. Losing with 2 is not good at all, but losing with 1 is okay. Do you prepare the team for that and sort of get those thoughts in their head, or do you just deal with it if it happens? So that's also something to think about. And for me, there is no right or wrong answers here. It's just you have to decide what way path you want to go in these kind of unexpected challenges that you're faced for. Ukraine, like I said, difficult preparations, but our defensive game plan against Ukraine was a lot about stopping their wing play and penetrations from wide area. They had really good wide forwards in their wide 4-3-3 formation. They had constant runs in the inner corridor here between fullback and center back. And how can we stop these situations? And many times they came with one more player there in a 3v2 situation. So in our walk through match day -1, where we could only walk, we couldn't train it. We were focusing on these 1v1 situations, how to defend them, and how we can give support from our midfield, from one of our midfield 3, how we need to slide quicker than ever in the back line, how we give support from our 6 players if holes are happening in the back line, how winger can come down quickly to give support in these wide areas as well. But this was one match where it shows that things that we prepared didn't work. And yes, the circumstances was difficult, but it's also on me as a head coach that I didn't manage to prepare the team well enough, because the things that we wanted to see didn't really see. You see here that when the ball is coming out wide for Ukraine, that we are not sliding quick and enough with the back line. We're leaving 2 big gaps for the midfielders to run like hell and work their ass off to protect the back line here. And that was something we talked about, but probably we focused too much on these midfielders protecting these holes here because we were not sliding enough with the back line here in these kind of situations. So we were in problems in these wide situations here. We were in problems here in these kind of spaces between our center back and fullback. Ukraine was really, really good at it, top level at that. So we have to give them credit also. But as a coach, I have to take responsibility also, even though it was difficult circumstances, that things didn't work the way we wanted from a defensive point of view. But players worked, players fighted. We got the goal on a set piece, a corner, and we managed to get a result for us. We lost the game, but we lost only with 1 goal. And that put us in a very good situation that if we're beating Malta, then we will go through to the elite round. So, of course, that scenario happened that we discussed before, that we were losing one goal down. And how do you coach now? And we decided just to go out very clearly with that information. And I have to give credit to my coaching staff also, that like Teemu, for example, my assistant coach, Emily, goalkeeper coach, they were fresher than me. I was a little bit more sick than them. I didn't feel the top of my game, but they took more responsibility. They were coaching more, and especially these 15 minutes, I got really great help from my coaching staff and trying to help the players understand how to act to save this result for us. So we got that result, and we could go into the Malta game knowing that if we win this match, we will go through. I will not go so deeply into the Malta matches because the video materials is quite poor, but you could say that everything worked for us the way we wanted to do there. So we are in blue here, so we were trying to press Malta very high and very active, and we were trying to press with our fullbacks against their wingbacks many times, so very, very brave and active, and sliding quickly with the center backs into these positions here. And we spent most of the match in Malta's half, but even if we did that, we were not fresh, good, had quality enough or energy enough in this match break the last line down enough and create enough chances. So you could see clearly that we were still not in our best condition for this match. But we managed to get the winning goal after a counter-attack after like 15 minutes. So 1-0 was enough for us, and we were never really threatened. Of course, if you lead with only one goal, you're always scared that something might happen. But we were really happy to get the result after a very challenging 10 days in Poland. So ups and downs, but we managed to give us extremely nice games to play now in March 2022. So we were drawn on Wednesday now this week against Italy, Belgium and Germany. So I think that we have shown now in the matches against Sweden, against Poland and against Ukraine that Finland youth national team U19, we are as good as them, if not even slightly better. We can match them technically, tactically, physically. We're not behind them in anything, so we're doing good things in Finland. And now we can treat this as a final tournament, and we can now compare ourselves to the biggest countries in Europe, Italy, Belgium and Germany, and how can we match those countries. That will be really interesting to see now in March. All right, thank you very much. There is my email. I don't know, Hannu, if we have time or if there has come any questions now. How is the situation?
Thank you so much, Peter. Really nice story, and I think there is. It would be a really nice topic to write a book as well. So could you do it?
Yeah.
Could you do it during Christmas vacation? There is Mikko Stevera is writing about. Thanks, Peter, for the great presentation. You mentioned that top and high quality players on the final third. Is someone ready to join the first national team, in your opinion? Will we see in the near future under 19 players the national team?
I think obviously I think the first step is to make a difference in the U21. I think that's the first national or the first natural step. But I think that there are some players that has the potential that it shouldn't take like too many years before they are getting at least close to the A national team. So yeah, not like within next year, I don't think so for sure, but for sure within a couple of years, I think some of them has the potential to also make it all the way. That's what we hope.
There are Ilkka Marttila, Aleksei Remenko saying that tack Peter, fantastic presentation. So very well done. Maybe my question is also that Peter, think about Italy number 4. I think Germany number 8 at the moment in the UEFA coefficient, and Belgium I think 16 or something. But really tough countries, and you have only a couple of days basically time to prepare everything before the elite round. What kind of plans do you have?
Yeah. So we are hoping that we can have a 3 or 4 days camp in February. It's been quite smooth previously around like Hiihtoloma week 8, something like that. So we hope that we could get 1 or 2 really good matches there to prepare. I know it might be difficult to get all the players from abroad, for example, but we have an ambition that we try to get some kind of preparation camp because I think it's really needed. But then, of course, yeah, I think now we have been together and played some good matches against quite good countries. So I think that the base is there and the fundamentals are there. But of course, it demands a lot from the team. It demands a lot from the coaching staff to prepare these kind of big games in only like 2 days, basically, that you have to prepare it once you're there. So, but I think that's the life of a national team, and you have to see it as an opportunity that you can train as a coach to be really effective as a coach, and you have to be really good at prioritizing the right things, and the same thing for the players. So I think it's a good thing for them, for their development to learn.
And luckily we have already your qualities, Peter, that you don't need so many days to prepare good results. So that's why only a couple of days, that's enough. Jani Honkavar is asking also, thanks for the presentation, Peter. Are you happy with the club situation of under-19 players? Are they in a good positions in their clubs?
In general, I would say, yeah, I was quite happy that many players had got minutes in Veikkausliiga or Ykkönen, most of them for sure. And I think that when we play these bigger countries in Europe, it's quite challenging if we have players that are playing Kakkonen. We had a couple of players that had played mostly in Kakkonen, and they coped well, but overall, we had most players that got quite good minutes in Veikkausliiga and Ykkönen. So I think if I compare to only 2 years ago when I started this job, the situation is better now. Plus that we have, in this age group, we had quite many players abroad also. We had 7, so 1/3 of the players were from abroad. So overall, a quite good situation at the moment.
Kai Norman is writing, härligt Peter och alla övriga lycka till i mars. Peter, bra jobbat, tusen tack. Thank you so much. It was really well done, really clear presentation also.